Have you ever felt like people react to you without knowing why? Like they sense something in you, but they can't explain it? Maybe it's the way silence deepens when you enter a room, or how strangers sometimes pause, as if remembering something they never consciously knew. You might think, I'm just quiet, just observing, but something more ancient is moving behind your eyes. These reactions, the looks, the stumbles, the sudden honesty in others, they're not coincidences. They are signals. Silent confirmations that something deep within you is waking up. Not the kind of awakening that's loud or dramatic, but the kind that speaks through stillness, a subtle shift in your presence that changes the way the world responds to you. You didn't ask for it. You didn't perform for it. You simply became more aligned with who you truly are. And the world, without knowing why, began to take notice. This isn't about attention. It's about remembrance. A quiet remembering of your truth, your energy, your origin. These subtle reactions, they're echoes of your soul re-entering its power. And in that power, there is no need to explain. Just notice. Breathe, and let what's already been awakened lead the way. Sign 1. You change the atmosphere without saying a word. You walk into the room. Not loudly, not with any demand for attention, but something shifts. It's not what you wear. It's not what you say. In fact, you haven't said a word. But somehow, the air changes. Conversations pause. Just for a heartbeat. People glance. Some look away quickly, like they're not sure what they're feeling. And you don't quite understand it either. You're just being yourself. Quiet. Present. But deep inside, you sense it too. The stillness you carry is being felt. It's like something sacred is moving through you, even when you're doing nothing at all. This is the kind of presence that isn't taught. It's remembered, it's awakened, and it doesn't come from effort. It comes from alignment. Because when your soul begins to wake up, it changes your frequency. And people feel that. Even if they don't understand it, their spirit recognizes it. That's why they pause. That's why they notice. It's not you, the personality. It's the soul quietly radiating truth. You don't need to say much. Sometimes you don't need to say anything at all, because your stillness speaks, and your stillness heals. So the question is, have you noticed how people become more aware when you're around? How silence deepens in your presence, like something sacred is being remembered. Sign 2. Strangers open up to you easily. You're just standing there, maybe waiting for your tea, sitting on a park bench, or walking through a bookstore, and someone you've never met before begins to speak. At first, it's small talk. But then something shifts. Their voice softens. Their eyes look a little heavier, and out comes something they've held in silence for years. A broken heart. A dream they buried. A pain they never dared to name aloud. And right there, in the middle of that ordinary moment, they say the same sentence you've heard a dozen times before. I don't know why I'm telling you this, but you know why. You may not be trying, but your energy is speaking louder than words. You've been through the dark night, the letting go, the unraveling. And in that process, you became someone who doesn't need to fix, doesn't need to judge. Just quietly hold space, that stillness inside you. People can feel it, not with their mind, but with something deeper. This isn't about being special. It's not charisma. It's not charm. It's something far more rare. It's about being safe, truly safe. Because you faced your own shadows, people feel they won't be shamed when they share theirs. You don't need to give advice. You don't even need to say much. Your presence is enough. Some may walk away after talking to you and say, I feel lighter. I don't know why, but a part of them knows. And here's the quiet truth. When a soul meets a safe soul, it exhales. And when it exhales, it begins to heal. So let me ask you, why do you think people feel safe around you? Could it be the stillness you've cultivated within? The sanctuary you've built? Not outside, but in your own being. Sign 3. You feel emotions that aren't yours. There are days when you wake up with a calm heart. The kind of morning where the sky feels wide, your breath is slow, and everything within you feels at ease. And yet, halfway through the day, a heaviness drops into your chest like a weight you didn't ask for. Your stomach tightens, your shoulders tense, and you're suddenly not okay, but nothing happened. Not to you. Then someone walks into the room. Maybe a friend, a coworker, or even a stranger. They don't say much, but their energy does. And just like that, you understand that anxiety, that sadness, it wasn't yours. You felt it before they even said a word. This is the quiet language of spiritual resonance, where your soul listens before your mind even knows what's happening. You've become sensitive to the unseen currents that move through people. You don't just hear pain, you feel it. Deeply. This isn't something you asked for, and it's definitely not weakness. It's a kind of deep empathy that can't be taught, only felt. But there's a lesson here, because when you feel so much, not everything belongs to you, and not everything should. Without boundaries, this gift turns heavy. It drains you. You carry storms that were never yours to begin with, but with awareness, this gift becomes power. You learn to witness the storm without drowning in it. You can be open without being emptied. You can care without collapsing. This gift was given to you not to suffer, but to serve. You're a vessel, not a sponge. And the more you learn to protect your peace, the more you can truly help others find. There's . So let me ask you something real, something quiet. Have you learned how to protect your peace while still feeling deeply? Sign 4. People get uncomfortable when you're silent. There's something about silence that unsettles people. Not because it's empty, but because it's full. You walk into a room and you don't have to say anything. You simply are. And somehow, that's enough to stir something in others. It's as if your presence holds a mirror. Not to judge, not to accuse, just to reflect what's already there in them. And some people, they aren't ready for that. Not everyone is comfortable facing what they've been hiding, especially when your silence leaves no noise to distract from the truth. Your stillness becomes a question they didn't want to answer. Your quiet becomes a space too wide, too deep, too honest. But don't mistake their discomfort for something wrong with you. Your silence is not a void. It is presence. It is clarity. It is awareness so sharp, it doesn't need to cut. It simply is. And in that awareness, others may feel exposed. Not because you reveal them, but because they begin to see themselves. And yet, for those who are ready, your silence draws them in. It calms the storm. It makes them feel seen, even if no words are exchanged, because silence, true silence, doesn't push away, it invites. It listens. It heals without trying. So don't fear the quiet you carry. It is not weakness. It is your strength, rooted deep like a tree that doesn't move for every wind. And maybe the most powerful thing you'll ever say is nothing at all. What does your silence reveal? About you or about the world around you? Sign 5. You can't pretend anymore. Even if you tried. There was a time you could laugh at things that didn't feel funny. Nod in agreement just to keep the peace. Wear masks to survive the moment. Even when something deep inside you was whispering, this isn't you. But something shifted, quietly, slowly. Not loud like a storm, but more like the cracking of old earth after a long drought. You began to notice the weight of every false yes, every smile that wasn't real, every space where your soul had to shrink just to fit in. And one day, you found yourself in a situation, maybe small, maybe seemingly unimportant, but something in you refused to play along. You didn't argue. You didn't explain. You just didn't pretend. That's when you knew something sacred was waking up in you. Not a rebellion, not an act of ego, but the quiet truth that your soul had finally had enough of faking. The roles you used to play, they don't fit anymore. The places you used to go just to feel something, they echo now, hollow and distant. You don't need to escape anymore. You need to emerge. And emergence requires honesty. It's not easy. In fact, sometimes it feels like loss. You grieve the version of you that knew how to blend in, but it's not a breakdown. It's a breaking open. And even if you tried to go back to fit in again, something inside you won't let you, because you've touched truth now, and truth doesn't forget you. So when the urge to pretend shows up again, and it will, you'll feel it in your body, a quiet resistance. Not because you're trying to be different, but because you've finally remembered who you really are. And so you walk forward. No performance, no need to explain. Just truth, carried softly in your being. Reflection. What parts of your old self are you quietly letting go of? Today, you may not speak loudly. You may not stand at the center of every room or raise your hand to be seen. But something about your presence is impossible to ignore. It's the way you walk into a space with nothing to prove. And yet, the room softens. It's the calm in your eyes when the world is spinning. The stillness in your voice when everyone else is shouting. You don't need to convince anyone, because your soul already knows. That's not weakness. That's not luck. That's not just how you were raised. That's the result of countless unseen battles you've walked through and survived. That silent strength is what awakening really looks like. Not flashy, not loud, just real. Just felt. And if something stirred in you while watching this, even just a whisper in your chest, a soft nod from your inner knowing, then you already understand. You are not hearing this by chance. Your soul is remembering what it came here for. So if this brought you a breath of clarity or helped you feel a little less alone, I invite you to stay, subscribe, reflect with us, grow with us. Not just to consume content, but to return to your own truth over and over again, because your quiet power is needed. Not someday, not when you're ready, not when the world makes sense. It is needed now. In every breath, in every choice, in every step that you take, even the invisible ones.